I thought I wanted to share with our audience your take on inflation, because I was watching one of your videos this morning and you talked about inflation and how people
The
should
rent is too damn high.
Rent is too damn high. The average rent for a two-bedroom in the United States of America right now is $1,600 a month. To give
Jesus.
people, put that in perspective, that's $400 more than my first mortgage. My first house was $174,500. I put 5% down on it. And our mortgage was like $1,220 a month or something like that. $1,600 a month for a two-bedroom apartment. That doesn't include your electric, your cable, your heat, your water.
God damn, I guess I'm getting a deal on my rental.
Yeah.
I'm renting properties in 2 different countries.
Yeah, I mean, sure, obviously people's mileage might vary, but I did want to like explain to people. I wanted you to explain to people because I thought you did a really good job on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people often look at inflation the wrong way. They look at it like in the terms of, the price of goods. But as you explained this morning, it's really how far your dollar goes, right?
Yes, exactly. Let's say that you make $10,000 a year, and that $10,000 can buy 10,000 units of something. Let's say that another person makes $20,000 a year, but that can only buy 5,000 units because of inflation. That's the difference.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. It's all about purchasing power. When you go to the grocery store, it doesn't matter how much you make it matters how much you can actually purchase with it. What is your productivity actually worth? I can remember, when I was a kid and go to the grocery store, the grocery bill would be $80, $90, but it was an entire cart full of stuff. Yeah. That same cart would cost like fucking $500 at this point. And the wages have not kept pace.
I remember was one same household, mom and dad, and then I would go grocery shop with my dad on Fridays.
Yeah,
and it was just my dad, my mom, me, and my sister. So family of 4. And I remember this. It was like a huge deal if you spent more than $100 on groceries. Like it was like, oh, it was $120, and then I remember like my mom and dad would like go back and forth about what he bought, and then it would always come down to like, well, I got a carton of cigarettes, and cigarettes are $40 a carton now, or whatever the case was. It was a big deal if it was over 100. I think the average cart right now, like you said, is at least 200 for a family of 4 for weekly groceries, and as much as 400 to 500 for biweekly. It's like you hear all the time.
It's even more than that, depending on where you shop.
Yeah, and if you're not being smart about couponing, we coupon, we buy what's on sale. And I think that like another common misconception, and I use this example all the time. I bought my house in like 2006 for $365,000. And my last house before this house, I sold it 2 years ago for $600K. I didn't make $300,000, people. I hear people say that all the time. Oh man, I sold my house. I made like 200 grand. No, you didn't. You didn't. You paid 200 grand more for the next house you bought. And that money, that $200,000 money units that are in your wallet right now, has $200,000 less purchasing power than it had, or whatever the percentage is. 25% less purchasing power than you had 2 years ago. I couldn't even I'm looking at building an outbuilding, and the mortgage rates are so high that I'm like, I can't pay 7.5% mortgage. Like it's so crazy. Like the mortgage on my house now is less than 3%. People have. Like I can't move. There's no way I would move because like I would have.
Yeah, most people don't understand these sorts of things. If your entire existence is basically you pay the rent and you work like a regular wage or something, you got to understand that there are financial experiences that you're not having that some people do have, and they're not necessarily always pleasant.
Well, and it rolls downhill. This is why rent is too damn high, because the people that own the rent are paying higher interest rates, and their dollar isn't going as far. And
so they pay more taxes too.
Right. So they pay more taxes. They pass it on to the rental units, and everybody loses. Inflation is not stuff costing more. It's your dollar going less far. It's and it's
Exactly.
and I don't want to oversimplify it, but I don't want to hear
Well,
like I
that's
can't
not really an oversimplification. It's just the truth.
right. Yeah, it's basically like Webster's dictionary defines. But I can't tell you how many times somebody.
Quartering's dictionary.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times somebody has told me how much money they made selling their house, and I'm like, dude, you didn't make money. If you did, it's a little bit. Like
You're hoping to squeak by.
yeah, what did you make on? Well, how much did the house you moved into cost? Because I can tell you, the house I bought would have been several $100,000 cheaper 5 years before I bought it. Like it's just shuffling money around.
Yeah, it just keeps pace with inflation. Unless you own yachts or something like that, then your home, which is the main purchasing power, other than actual wage and stuff that the average American has, it's going to keep pace generally with inflation, depending on the local housing market. That's the best that you can hope for. That and kind of your car to an extent.
Yeah, in some states especially, because you get taxed on it. I had never heard of that concept before. So in Wisconsin, we don't pay property tax on our cars, but we pay it on our houses. I moved to Louisville for like 6 months, and I lived in an apartment. And people there were like, we pay taxes every year on our cars. I'm like, what? That's crazy. I'd never heard of anything. So like,
you pay a car property tax?
Yeah, am I not understanding it? Maybe Chad can correct me if I'm wrong. It was so crazy to me. I was like, what are you lying? You have to pay some sort of tax every year when you renew your license. Where I live, you pay $80. In Kentucky, you pay like some percent of the value that they say your car is. Like
That's
it's
strange.
like I think. And like
here, I mean, there's a licensing fee and stuff like that, but it's not based on the value of your car.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Chad is confirming. I pay property tax on my cars. Yeah, isn't that crazy? So you haven't heard of that either. Yeah, but yeah. So I'm assuming that you don't pay as high a property tax on property. I don't know, but like my roommate was like, I have to pay like $1,000 a year for my car. I'm like, for what? That's crazy talk. So yes, it is a real thing. The shock and horror of Styx and quartering, learning about yet another tax that exists, and it's based on the value of your car that they set, by the way.
This is why we must destroy as much of the government regulatory system as possible.
Yeah, it's Washington State does so a lot of that. Yeah, so here's another ridiculous tax. I know you guys think EVs are stupid. Fine. It's $80 to renew my license plate or whatever it is in Wisconsin for my gasoline car. But for my EV, they charge me $150. Why? Because frick you, that's why. Because they can't tax me on gasoline, so they tax me on that. It's absurd. Why are you taxing me more for an electric car, you assholes? Like and then people just are like,
Your mistake was buying an electric vehicle.
Yes, I know. But I'm saying like
sell it and buy a gas guzzler.
I do
get a coal roller.
I have a pickup truck, and I try to drive as aggressively as humanly possible to offset it. But like it's so wild to me. Inflation, by the way, if it makes it easier for you, you can just think of it like another tax, because it is. It's like a tax on the spending power of your money.
And it's a tax disproportionately on the poor. Everyone needs to buy food, right? Yes. Well, the proportion of the budget that's going to be allocated to food is going to be higher, generally as a proportion, for people that are more poor.
Yeah, it's funny that Democrats never talk about that, Styx, do they? They never talk about
they don't want to bring that up. Of course not.
Yeah, they want to give tax breaks to the rich while our policies destroy the buying power of the poor. It's wild.
If you manipulate currency and stuff like that, the rich are never going to get affected by that. They're the ones that buy the elections.
Right.